I had every piece of furniture I owned pushed up against the closet door. The dresser, the nightstand, even the mattress, half tilted, like a barricade in a war movie. It was ridiculous. I knew that, but I also knew what I'd heard the night before. From inside that closet, from the dark, cramped space where I used to hide as a kid, a small voice had whispered, 19, 20, ready or not, here I come. The thing is, I live alone, and I haven't played hide and seek since the summer one of my friends never came out of their hiding place. If you ever hear someone counting from your walls, if you hear the numbers whispered from your closet, you need to understand something. It's not a game. Not anymore. Let me take you back to Hollowford, Ohio, and to the night we learned what you really invite in when you say, let's play hide and seek in the dark. Welcome back to Midwest Mysteries. If you're new here, this channel explores the darkest stories and urban legends from small towns scattered across the American Midwest, places where the roads are empty after sunset, and the cornfields whisper when there's no wind. Tonight's story is told from my perspective. I grew up in a dying Midwest town, and I played a game of hide and seek that never really ended. Turn off the lights, put your headphones on, and remember the rules of the game, because if you break them, it means you're playing with him. When I was 11, Hollowford already felt like a ghost. Half the storefronts on Main Street were empty and dark. The only bright thing in town was the gas station sign that flickered all night, buzzing like a trapped fly. Cornfields pressed in on all sides. In the fall, the rows grew so high you couldn't see more than a few feet in. Everyone had a story about kids wandering in and not coming out the other side. But the place that really scared us wasn't the fields. It was a house about a mile outside town, past the rusted water tower. A long gravel driveway led to the old Miller farmhouse. Its paint had peeled away to gray splinters. The porch sagged in the middle like a broken spine. Every window was dark, even in the middle of the day. We used to ride our bikes out there and dare each other to touch the porch steps before sunset. Nobody lived there. At least, that's what the grown-ups said. Kids in Hollowford had a different story. They said the Miller family had a son who disappeared playing hide and seek in that house sometime back in the 70s. They never found him. Not a body, not clothes, nothing. One day he was there. The next he was inside the house somewhere. After that, people started hearing counting from behind the walls. Soft, patient numbers. The family lasted 2 weeks before they packed up and left in the middle of the night. We didn't know how much of it was true. We just knew one rule. You never, ever played hide and seek in the Miller farmhouse. So, of course, that's exactly what we decided to do. That summer, there were 4 of us. Me, my name's Lucas, Aaron, my best friend, all sharp elbows and nervous jokes. Lena, who could beat any of us in a dare. And Jamie, the new kid from out of town who hadn't learned which stories you were supposed to take seriously. It was Jamie's idea. We should play hide and seek there, he said one afternoon, chewing on a piece of straw, like he'd seen in movies. In the dark. Make it interesting. We'd get arrested, Aaron muttered. That place is like condemned. Lena just looked at the road stretching out of town, toward the silhouette of the farmhouse. The sky behind it was bleeding orange into purple. Midnight, she said, no flashlights. Doors closed. First one found is it, next round. Last one found wins. Jamie smirked. And what do they win? Not dying of boredom in this town, she shot back. We laughed, but the sound was thin. There was one more piece to the legend, something even the bravest kids repeated in a low voice. The rules, everybody in Hollowford said, if you were stupid enough to play hide and seek in the Miller farmhouse, you had to follow these rules. Don't start the game after midnight. Don't count past 20. Don't hide in the same place twice. If you hear someone else counting, even though no one volunteered to be it, you leave the house immediately. That last one always got a laugh when we said it out loud. Right, Jamie snorted. If a ghost starts counting, just walk out and leave. Sure. We met that night at the edge of Jamie's backyard and took our bikes out past the water tower. The town was just a dim glow behind us. Crickets screamed from the ditch. The air smelled like dirt and old rain. When the farmhouse finally came into view, it was like the sky had bent around it. Everything looked a little darker near that place, like someone had turned the brightness down. The front steps moaned under our weight. The screen door hung by one hinge, groaning as we pushed inside. The air was cooler in there, and wet, like a basement. Dust floated in the beam of Lena's phone before she switched it off. "Okay," she said, "we stick to the rules. We'll do 3 rounds, then we're done." "Relax," Jamie said, "it's just a house." We decided Aaron would be it first. He rolled his eyes, leaned against the wall of the front hall, and pressed his palms over his face. "Fine, count to 20, I said. "No cheating." He started to count, loud enough that we could hear him, but muffled behind his hands. 1, 2, 3. We scattered. The floorboards flexed and popped under our feet as we ran down different halls. The house smelled like rotting wood and old, wet clothes. Every sound echoed forever. 9, 10, 11. I took the narrow staircase to the second floor 2 steps at a time. The railing shook under my hand. At the top, the hallway stretched into darkness, lined with doorways like open mouths. I tried one room, moldy mattress, window broken, not enough places to hide. Another, closet doors swollen shut. 13, 14. A third room yawned to my left. Inside, there was a heavy wooden wardrobe with one door cracked open. Perfect. I slipped inside, careful not to let it creak too loud, and pulled the door almost closed, leaving a narrow slit to breathe through. The smell in there was worse. Damp fabric and something faintly sour like breath that had been trapped too long. 17, 18. He was getting close. My heartbeat synced with the numbers. I could hear the house settling around me, wood ticking and groaning as it cooled. 19, and then another voice joined in, a 20. It was Haddon, right next to my left ear. "Ready or not," it whispered, "here I come." Every muscle in my body locked. That hadn't been Aaron's voice. His last number, 19, had come from downstairs. This 20 was inside the wardrobe, inside with me. I bit down on my hand to stop myself from yelping. For a second, the only sound was my own breathing and the distant creak of the house. Then I heard footsteps out in the hallway. At first, I thought it was just Aaron, moving from room to room, but there was something wrong with the rhythm. It didn't sound like one person walking. It sounded like 2 sets of feet, one heavier, one much lighter, moving perfectly in sync. Floorboard creak, right outside the door. The wardrobe door shifted a fraction of an inch, as if someone had nudged it from the outside, or leaned on it from the inside. I squeezed my eyes shut. The footsteps paused. Then Aaron's voice called from the hall. "Ready or not, I'm coming." Relief almost made me laugh out loud. I told myself I had imagined it. The second voice, the whispered 20 in my ear. Just nerves and the legend getting to me. Kids hear things in the dark all the time, right? The first round went almost normal after that. Aaron found Lena first, hiding under the kitchen table. Then me, in the wardrobe. I almost screamed when the door swung open and his face appeared, but I forced a laugh instead. "What, you expecting the boogeyman?" He grinned. I didn't tell him I sort of had. We found Jamie last, curled up behind the ripped couch in the living room. That made him it for the second round. He took it a little too seriously. "Everyone ready?" he asked, standing in the front hall. "I'll count," Lena said, rolling her eyes, though her voice had a slight edge now. "We're not 5. Jamie leaned his forehead against the wall, covered his eyes with his hands, and began. 1, 2, 3. Something felt different this time. The air seemed thicker, the house quieter. When I ran, every step echoed like it was happening in someone else's body. 4, 5, 6. Lena bolted toward the back of the house. Aaron went for the stairs. I hesitated for a second, then veered toward the center of the ground floor. I didn't want to go back upstairs. Not after what I thought I'd heard. 7, 8. A pantry door stood half open off the kitchen. A narrow space with shelves still clinging to old glass jars. Perfect. Tight, but perfect. I squeezed inside, pulled the door until it was just barely cracked, and tried to slow my breathing. 10, 11, 12. The counting grew fainter as I slipped deeper into the house's stomach. That was when I heard Lena scream. It wasn't playful. It wasn't a "you got me" scream. It was sharp, and it cut off too fast, like someone had clapped a hand over her mouth. The number stopped mid-count. Silence dropped, heavy as a blanket. My heart slammed in my chest. "Guys?" I whispered, but no one answered. The house seemed to be holding its breath. Then very slowly, the counting started again. But it wasn't coming from the hallway anymore. It was coming from directly above me, from the ceiling, soft, muffled, like someone had pressed their face against the floor of the room upstairs and whispered down into the cracks. 13, 14, 15. It didn't sound like Jamie. It didn't sound like anyone I knew. The voice was too smooth, too patient, like it had all the time in the world. 16, 17. I gripped the doorknob, but my hand was sweating and it slipped. 18. Something scratched lightly against the outside of the pantry door. Not a solid knock, more like fingertips dragging down cheap wood. 19. The doorknob twisted. I clapped a hand over my mouth. 20. The whisper brushed right under the crack at the bottom of the door, so close to my shoes I felt the breath. "Ready or not," the voice said. "Here I come." The door swung open, but it was only Aaron standing there, eyes wide, chest heaving. "There you are," he hissed. "Have you seen Lena?" I heard her scream," I said, stumbling out. "And Jamie stopped counting, and then someone else." "Come on," Aaron snapped, grabbing my arm. "We can't find them. Either of them." The house swallowed our voices as we called their names. "Jamie, this isn't funny anymore." We tore through the ground floor, then up the stairs. Every door we kicked open slammed the quiet back in our faces. The old bathroom, empty. The master bedroom, empty. The wardrobe where I'd hidden, empty. No Lena, no Jamie. At first we told ourselves they were hiding really well, that they were trying to freak us out, staying quiet for the longest possible time. We told ourselves that for about 10 minutes, then 15. By 20, we were sweating and swearing and close to tears. "Okay," Aaron shouted finally, voice cracking. "I give up. You win. Just come out." Nothing, not a giggle, not a shuffle. The house creaked around us, but it wasn't the sound of kids moving. It was deeper, like something big had just shifted its weight in a sleep it hadn't fully woken from. "Aaron," I whispered, "we should go." "We can't just leave them," he said, but the way he gripped the stair railing made his knuckles go bone white. We kept searching until my throat burned from yelling. When we finally stumbled back out onto the porch, gasping night air like we had been underwater, my head was buzzing. We biked to Aaron's house and told his dad. They called the sheriff. What followed was floodlights, barking dogs, grown-ups shouting over one another. They searched the fields, the wells, the house. They never found Lena. They never found Jamie. The official story in Hollowford became what it always becomes in towns like that when something too big to understand happens. Runaway kids. Probably hitched out of town, nothing to be done. But I remembered the scream that cut off like someone had crushed it in their hand. And I remembered the voice that had picked up counting, calm as a metronome from somewhere just above my head. I moved away from Hollowford after high school. I told myself I was leaving behind a dead town, a dead future, and dead stories. For a while it worked. I got a cheap apartment 2 states over. I worked night shifts. I learned to love the noise of a city that never fully sleeps. Every now and then, though, something slipped. Once at a party, someone suggested hide and seek in the dark for fun. My vision tunneled. My hands shook so hard I had to lock myself in the bathroom until the game was over. Another time, at 3 in the morning, I woke up certain I'd heard someone counting down the hall. Every hair on my arm stood up. When I opened the door, the hallway was empty. I told myself it was stress, memories, trauma. Then one Tuesday afternoon, I got a message request on social media from a name I hadn't seen in years. Aaron. "Hey man, we need to talk. It's about Hollowford, about the house, about them, please. I think I'm losing it." We arranged a call. When I picked up, he didn't bother with small talk. "Do you hear it too?" he asked instead. "Be honest, Lucas. Do you ever hear counting?" My mouth went dry. The city hummed outside my window, car horns and distant sirens. But right then, it all felt thin, fragile, Sometimes, I admitted. I think I'm imagining it. You're not, he said. His voice was raw. I could picture him, tall, hunched a little, raking his fingers through his hair like he always did when he was on the edge. It started again last month, he said, in my apartment. I live alone, okay? No roommates, no kids upstairs. But at night, right at 12:03, I hear it. Hear what? 1, 2, 3, he whispered. Like someone with their face against the drywall. It goes to 20, then it stops. Next night, same time, louder. And last night, he trailed off. What? I pressed. Last night, he said, it stopped at 18, and something knocked on the inside of my closet door for the last 2 numbers. The image shot uninvited into my mind, knuckles gently rapping out 19, 20 from the wrong side of the wood. I think we left it unfinished, he said, voice low. Back then, in the farmhouse. We never officially ended the game, Lucas. We ran, we left. I think whatever's in that house started playing alone, and now it's looking for us so it can finish. I laughed, but it came out thin and shaky. That's insane, I said. Is it? He snapped. They never found bodies. Not a scrap, not a shoe, nothing. You heard it, didn't you? In that pantry. You heard something counting that wasn't any of us. My silence answered for me. There's more, he said. I saw something. Last night, when the knocking stopped, the closet door opened a little. I saw eyes in there. Too high for a kid, too low for an adult. Just floating, watching. What do you want to do? I asked finally. There was a long pause. We go back, he said. We go back to Hollowford, to the farmhouse. We finish the game, on our terms. Are you out of your mind? Tell me you're not hearing anything in your place, he said quietly. Tell me you never wake up at night thinking you left your closet door half open when you're sure you closed it. I couldn't tell him that, because every night that week, I had been wedging a chair under my bedroom doorknob. Not the closet, the bedroom. As if I were suddenly afraid of walking into my own room and finding someone already in there, pressing their face against the wall and whispering numbers into the darkness. We follow the rules, Aaron said. We start before midnight. We don't count past 20. We don't hide in the same place twice. We go in, we play, we end it. Or we live the rest of our lives waiting for some thing to stick its fingers through the cracks in our walls. I didn't say yes, not right away. But 3 nights later, when I woke up at 12:03 a.m., heart racing, convinced I had heard someone murmur, 13, 14, from the space under my bed. I bought a bus ticket back to Ohio. Hollowford looked even emptier than I remembered. The gas station sign was out. Half the houses we rode past as kids were boarded up now. For sale signs sagged on their posts, letters bleached by sun and rain. Aaron met me at the edge of town. He looked older than the years since I'd seen him, should have made him, eyes hollow, shoulders hunched. He hadn't slept much, I knew without asking. I brought this, he said, raising a small black device. Voice recorder, just in case. If we don't make it out, don't, I said. We're getting out, both of us. He didn't argue, but he didn't look convinced either. We didn't ride bikes this time. We drove his rusted pickup down the old gravel road to the Miller farmhouse. It hadn't improved with age. If anything, it looked hungrier. The porch dip was deeper. The windows were darker, like eyes that had sunk into their sockets. Ivy had clawed up one side as if the earth itself were trying to pull the house back down. We stepped out of the truck just as the sun slipped below the horizon. Before midnight, I said, Rule 1. We went in through the same warped front door. The air closed around us like a fist. It smelled wrong. Worse than when we were kids, like wet soil, copper, and something sterile, like a hospital hallway. I thought of the missing space where 2 kids should have been in the story of this town. We stood in the front hall. Okay, Aaron said. We do this once. 1 round. We don't count past 20. We stop, we say game over, we leave. Right? What if it doesn't care about our words? I asked. Then it gets its chance, he said quietly. But at least we won't be running anymore. We turned off our phone flashlights. Darkness dropped on us like a curtain. I heard my own breathing, Aaron's, and something else beneath it, like the steady exhale of a sleeping animal. "Who's it?" I asked. Aaron swallowed. I heard it. "I'll count," he said. "You hide." I opened my mouth to argue, to say we should draw straws, something, but he was already turning toward the wall, pressing his forehead against the stained wallpaper just like we did as kids. "One," he said. I ran. The floor remembered my steps. Past the living room, past the kitchen where Lena had screamed. My palms slid along the walls. They felt almost warm. 2, 3. I didn't go upstairs. I couldn't. Instead, I pushed through a narrow door under the staircase I had never noticed before. A crawl space, low ceiling, wooden beams, the smell of old dirt and stone. 4, 5. The space stretched longer than made sense. My shoulders brushed both walls. Cobwebs dragged across my face. I ducked behind a stack of old, splintered crates and knelt, curling in on myself. 6, 7. The sound of his counting filtered in, muffled by floorboards and walls. And then, exactly like that night years before, another voice joined in. 8, 9. It didn't overlap with Aaron's. It slid perfectly into the gaps. Where his breath paused, the new voice filled. 10 from Aaron. 11 from whatever else was in there with us. I pressed a fist against my mouth. 12. 13. They sounded almost in sync now, human and inhuman, weaving the numbers together like a rope they were throwing over us. 14, 15, 16. The wood above my head creaked. Dry soil trickled down on my neck, as if something were crawling along the beams overhead, dragging itself closer. 17, 18. My pulse pounded in my ears. I remembered the rules. Don't start after midnight. Don't hide in the same place twice. Don't count past 20. If you hear someone else counting, leave the house. 19. The voices merged on that one. Aaron and the other thing, identical in tone, like the house had reached through his throat and taken hold. Silence. I waited for 20. It didn't come. Instead, a whisper breathed right against the back of my neck, from the darkness I hadn't been able to see into behind the crates. "You never finished your turn, Lucas," it said. The words were small and flat, like a bored child reading off a cue card. "You never counted for them." 2 cold, dry fingers slid through my hair, as gentle as a parent pushing bangs out of a child's eyes. My lungs forgot how to work. "I was still hiding," it said, "and you left. That's against the rules." Something shifted behind me. I couldn't turn around, couldn't look. My body refused. "You were supposed to find me," it whispered. "I've been waiting a long time." From upstairs, somewhere far away, I heard Aaron shout my name. "Lucas, where are you?" My voice came out a torn whisper. "Aaron," I croaked, "don't say 20. Don't." "Finish the game," the thing behind me hissed. The words crawled into my ears like worms. "Or it follows you forever. Into every room, every closet, every wall." Its hand, too small, too many knuckles, closed around my wrist with surprising strength and squeezed. "Count," it said. "You owe me." The air dropped 10 degrees. My breath fogged in front of me in the dark. Upstairs, Aaron let out a sound that was half sob, half laugh. 90, he said. He didn't mean to. I heard it in the way his voice cracked. Something had pushed the number out of him. "Wrong, punk," the thing whispered in my ear, annoyed, like a teacher correcting a student. "You only go to 20. That's the game." It squeezed my wrist harder. Pain bloomed up my arm. "If he doesn't know the rules," it said, "he can't play. And if he can't play, I'll need you to be it forever." That was when I understood what it wanted. It didn't just want to scare kids. It didn't even just want to keep them. It wanted someone to always be counting. Someone to keep the game alive inside the house so it never had to sleep. If I ran again now, if I broke the rules a second time, I knew it wouldn't stay in Hollowford. It would follow me back to my apartment. It would follow me into my closet, my walls, my bed frame. It would start games with anyone I cared about. Count, it said again. My throat loosened. 1, I gasped. Its grip eased a fraction. 2, 3. With each number, the pressure on my wrist lessened, but I could feel something else tightening around me. Threads, invisible and cold, tangling around my ribs, my spine, tying me to the house. Upstairs, I heard Aaron pounding from room to room, shouting my name. The two sounds, the desperate banging and my own helpless counting, twisted together into something that made my stomach lurch. 4, 5, 6. My voice echoed strangely. The sound seemed to sink into the walls and come back warped, like it belonged to multiple mouths. Good, the thing murmured. This time you don't get to leave before you find me. 7, 8, 9. Tears blurred my vision. Even in the dark, it didn't matter. I realized then that it had never been about who was hiding and who was seeking. The real game was about who the house could make stay. 10, 11, 12. The numbers spilled out of me without my consent now. My tongue moved on its own. 13, 14. My hands lifted, palms pressing against the splintered wood in front of me. My forehead followed, slotting into the familiar, awful position against the wall. Halfway through my own count, I had become the one facing the wallpaper. I was it now. 15, 16, 17. Upstairs, Aaron's footsteps faltered. He must have heard me, heard the numbers, low and steady, coming up through the floor. "Lucas?" he called, voice breaking. "Is that you? 18? The house waited with me, hid with me. "Lucas, answer me," he shouted, closer now, right above me. 19, I tried to stop, to choke on the last number. My jaw unlocked on its own. 20. The word dropped into the dark, heavier than it should have been. Something in the walls shifted. All around me, in the beams, in the floorboards, in the plaster, I heard rustling, shuffling, like dozens of bare feet repositioning themselves in cramped spaces. Not rats, not animals, hiders, old ones. Somewhere upstairs, Aaron screamed, a pure, sharp sound that cut off the way Lena's had. Then there was nothing. No footsteps, no voices, no Aaron. Just the house and the quiet and my breathing and the rules. Ready or not, the thing sighed happily against my ear, its voice almost affectionate now. Here we come. Not I. We, I don't know how I got out. That's the part I still don't understand. One moment I was pressed against the wall in that crawl space, my forehead grinding into splinters, my lips brushing the numbers into the wood. The next, I was on my back in the gravel outside, staring up at a dead gray sky. The Miller farmhouse loomed over me, darker than the clouds. Every window looked like a shut-off. The front door was closed. Aaron's truck was gone. There were no fresh tire tracks in the driveway. When I stumbled to my feet and checked my phone, it was 3 in the afternoon. I had no missed calls, no messages. It was like he'd never come to get me. Like none of it had happened, except when I took a step toward the house, my whole body seized with the certainty that if I crossed that threshold again, I'd never leave. So I walked away. Back to the bus stop. Back to my apartment. Back to a life that felt thinner. Lena and Jamie were still listed as missing on the Hollowford Sheriff's website. Months later, Aaron's name appeared under an article headline. Local man disappears. Car found abandoned outside town. No mention of the farmhouse. No mention of hide and seek. Just absence after absence, like teeth missing from a smile. The counting didn't stop when I came home. It followed me. Sometimes I wake up at 12:03 a.m. and it's already halfway through. A soft voice pressed right against the inside of my bedroom wall. 11, 12. Sometimes I feel a small hand slide under my pillow, searching for mine. 13, 14. I've tried sleeping in hotels, in other cities, with other people. It doesn't matter. 15, 16. I've realized the awful truth. The house doesn't need my body. It just needs my voice. 17. Wherever I go at exactly the same time, some part of me is still there, pressed against peeling wallpaper, finishing the count it never finished as a kid. 18 ma'am. So if you ever hear someone counting from your closet, your vents, your ceiling at night, don't answer. Don't join in. Don't say the next number. Even in your head. 19. And whatever you do, if a child ever asks to play hide and seek in your house, and when you ask how many players there are, they say, 3 of us, and the one that's already hiding in your walls, you get out. Because once the game starts, once someone reaches 20, once someone says, ready or not, here I come, it's not your house anymore. It's just another place for it to hide in. If you made it this far with the lights off, you're braver than most. This has been Midwest Mysteries, exploring the dark side of small-town America, where even simple games like hide and seek can turn into something you never escape. If this story kept you listening, do me a favor. Like the video so more horror fans can find it, and subscribe to Midwest Mysteries for more long, atmospheric horror stories from across the American Midwest. And tell me in the comments, have you ever heard something counting in the dark? Have you ever played a game of hide and seek that didn't feel normal? Thank you for listening. Sleep with your doors closed tonight. And if you hear someone whisper 19 from the walls, don't wait around for 20.